Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking it one step further and we're going to be learning about one-step equations with multiplication and division. Remember previously we've just finished adding and subtracting, so guys, guess what? This is going to be like the exact same thing, except for we're doing multiplying and dividing, but the exact same rules apply. So don't forget, we're going to use our inverse operation. So if our problem says to multiply, it means we're going to divide, and if it says to divide, we're going to multiply. Same thing with adding and subtracting. Remember, if it told us to add, and then we were going to do the inverse and we were going to subtract, and if it told us to subtract, we were going to add. So that's what we're going to do. Remember that we have to keep it balanced. This is like the golden rule. You must do to the other side. We have to do it to both. All right, remember we need to show all of our steps. We have to check our work. And remember, we have to follow this process. If you don't, we're going to get it wrong. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So for this first one, we're going to first find our side with our variable. Okay, here's my variable, and remember we want to get our variable alone. So it tells me if I have a variable right next door to my number, that means I'm going to multiply, which means what should I do instead? We need to do the inverse. We're going to divide. So I'm going to divide by 5 on one side. Remember that cancels. And we're going to divide by 5 on the other side. Okay, so we're going to bring down my equal sign. 45 divided by 5 is 9. I'm going to bring down my c. So we think c equals 9, but we need to double check. Remember when we did our substitution a few days ago, we have to make sure both sides are balanced. So we need to make sure that we actually did this correct. So we're going to plug it back in. 5, instead of putting c, we'll say times 9 equals 45. We know that 5 times 9 is 45, and 45 equals 45. That does balance, so that means c equals 9. Okay, so we made sure to show all of our work. We double checked ourselves. We're good. And so guys, as you can see, this is very, very similar to what we had just done. All right, so for the second one, I have 16 equals 4 times a. So instead of multiplying, what should I do? Divide. So we're going to divide by 4 on one side. Oops. And we're going to divide by 4 on the other. Okay, bring everything down. I have a left over here. 16 divided by 4 is 4. We think 4 is going to be my solution, so let's plug it back in. I have 16 equals 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 is equal to 16. That does work. 4 is my solution. Okay. Now, for this one down here, 2 equals a over 6. Now guys, this looks like a fraction, but remember, what have we learned also a fraction is? We know that fraction bar can also mean divide. So this is really 2 equals a divided by 6, okay? So if we're dividing by 6, what should I do to find my answer? I need to multiply by 6. So those guys are going to cancel. We're going to multiply by 6, okay? I do apologize. I keep forgetting to draw our lines. All right, so I have a left over. 2 times 6 is 12. Okay, let's double check. 2 equals 12 over 6. 12 divided by 6 is going to give me 2 equals 2. That works, and 12 is our solution. All right, guys, so go ahead and I'm going to have you pause this video, and I want you to work by yourself on those back problems, and then we're going to go ahead and I'll check over those with you. All right, and hopefully we went ahead and we paused. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we'll go over these one by one. Okay, so let's make this a little less glary. Let's see if we can do that. That's better. All right, so we had 2.1 or 2 1/10 equals something divided by 12. So instead I was going to, let's see. Nope, I don't like that. Ooh, that pulses. That's not. That'll work. Okay. So instead, I'm going to multiply by 12 instead of divide, and so I multiply 12 on this side. Remember, when we're working with decimals, 2 1/10, we're just going to multiply it just like normal. So when I multiplied, I had 252, but remember I had one decimal place, so I need to move it over one. So we think it's 25 and 2/10 is equal to n. Okay, so when I plugged it back in, I did 25 and 2/10 divided by 12, put my decimal all the way up, and I divided. So in fact, 2 1/10 was equal to 2 1/10, therefore 25 and 2/10 was my answer. Okay, that was my solution. For this second one, again, this was another division problem, which means instead I need to multiply to find my solution. So I multiplied by 9 on one side, so I'm going to do it to the other. 140 times 9 gave me 1,260. I went ahead and I plugged it back in. So 140 equals 1,260 divided by 9. When I divided this, I did get 140. So 140 is equal to 140. Therefore, 1,260 is my solution. All right, this third one, okay? 121 equals 1.1 times W. If we're multiplying, it means I need to divide. So I divided 1.1 divided by 1.1. Those cancel out. 121 divided by 1 and 1/10. All right, so remember, my decimal was originally here. I cannot have a decimal, so I'm going to have to move it over 1, which means I have to do it to the other side, so I'm going to move it over another 1. Okay, bring my decimal straight up. All right, when I go ahead and I divide, I did get 110. So we think that's correct, but let's plug it back in. So now your problem should look like this. 121 equals 1 and 1/10 times 10. So I multiplied 110 times 1 and 1/10. Remember, you can kind of forget about your decimal as you multiply. So as I multiplied it out, I really got 1,210, but I had a decimal, so I have to move it over 1. So I moved my decimal over 1, which gave me 121. So my solution was 110. Okay. All right. This problem was a division problem to begin with, which means I needed to do the inverse, so I was going to multiply. So instead of dividing by 7, we're going to multiply by 7. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. 18 times 7 gave me 126. We think that's my solution, but let's double check. 18 equals 126 divided by 7. 126 divided by 7, here's my work. 18 equals 18. 126 equals A. And lastly, okay, so if you got this one correct, kudos to you. Okay, so if anything's going to equal 0, guys, remember your 0 properties. All right, so instead of dividing by 25, I'm going to multiply by 25. 0 times 25, anything times 0, guys, is going to be 0. 0 equals H. Okay, let's double check. 0 equals 0 divided by 25. What's 0 divided by something? 0. 0 equals 0. In fact, my solution is 0.